U.S. citizenship interview questions. USCIS officers typically draw naturalization interview questions directly from your responses on your application for naturalization, Form N-400. Common questions. How are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing today? Did you have any trouble getting here? How was the traffic? Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you understand what an oath means? What is your name? When is your birthday? Where were you born? What is your race? What is your mother's name? What is your father's name? Is your mother or father a U.S. citizen? When did they become U.S. citizens? How many children do you have? What are their names? Where were your children born? Where do they currently live? Is your child your biological child, stepchild, or adopted child? When are their birthdays? Are you currently single, married, divorced, or widowed? What is the name of your current spouse? When and where were you married? Is your spouse a U.S. citizen? What is your spouse's country of citizenship or nationality? When is your spouse's birthday? What is your spouse's current job? How many times have you been married? When were you approved for your green card? How long have you had your green card? Have you traveled abroad recently? How many times have you left the United States since you became a green card holder or permanent resident? What were the reasons you needed to take trips abroad? When was your last trip outside the United States? Which countries did you visit? Do you remember the day you returned to the United States? What is your current home address? How long have you lived there? Where else have you lived in the past 5 or 3 years? When did you live there? Where do you currently work? What is your current job? Where else have you worked in the past 5 or 3 years? When did you work there? Form N-400, Part 12, Application for Naturalization. Part 12 contains numerous questions related to an applicant's moral character. Officers occasionally ask applicants to define words or phrases on the Form N-400 to verify that the applicant has understood the question. Have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen, in writing or any other way? What the question means. Did you ever say you were a U.S. citizen? Have you ever registered to vote in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? What the question means. Did you ever sign up to vote in the United States? Have you ever voted in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? What the question means. Did you ever choose a new leader in a U.S. election? Do you now have, or did you ever have, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country? What the question means. Do you have a title, like a prince or princess? Are you willing to give up any inherited titles or orders of nobility that you have in a foreign country at your naturalization ceremony? What the question means. Will you give up your title forever when you become a U.S. citizen? Have you ever been declared legally incompetent or been confined to a mental institution? What the question means. Were you ever legally insane? Were you ever forced to stay in a hospital because of a mental illness? Do you owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes? What the question means. Do you owe late taxes? Have you ever not filed a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? What the question means. You became a lawful permanent resident when you received your green card. After that, have you ever not filed a tax return? Have you called yourself a non-U.S. resident on a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? What the question means. On a tax form, have you ever said you did not live in the United States? Have you ever been a member of, involved in, or in any way associated with, any organization, association, fund, foundation, party, club, or similar group in the United States or in any other location in the world? What the question means. Are you a member of an organized group of people? Were you ever a member of any organized group of people? Have you ever been a member of, or in any way associated with, Communist Party? Any other totalitarian party? A terrorist organization? What the question means. Were you a member of the Communist Party before? Were you a member of a totalitarian party before? Were you a member of a terrorist organization before? You may be asked. What is communism? No freedom. What is totalitarian? A totalitarian government controls everything people do. What is terrorism? Terrorists kill many people, like on September 11, 2001. Have you ever advocated the overthrow of any government by force or violence? What the question means. Did you ever tell people to use force to change a government? Have you ever persecuted any person because of race, religion, national origin, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion? What the question means. Did you ever discriminate against people because you didn't like their race, religion, country of origin, social or political group? You may be asked. What does it mean to persecute or discriminate? Be bad to people because you don't like their race or religion. What is race? Black people, white people, Asian people. What is a social group? Poor people, rich people, educated people. What is a political group? Democratic, Republican, Communist. What is national origin? The country where you were born. Between March 23, 1933 and May 8, 1945, did you work for or associate in any way with the Nazi government of Germany? Any government in any area occupied by, allied with, or established with the help of the Nazi government of Germany. Any German, Nazi, or SS military unit, paramilitary unit, self-defense unit, vigilante unit, citizen unit, police unit, government agency or office, extermination camp, concentration camp, prison, labor camp, or transit camp. You may be asked, what is paramilitary unit? A group of people who act like a military group but are not part of the official military. What is self-defense unit? A group of people organized to protect their community against crime and violence. What is vigilante unit? A group of people who act like the police but are not part of the official police. What is labor camp? A place where people are forced to work. Were you ever involved in any way with any of the following? Genocide? What the question means. Did you ever try to kill all the people of the same group? Torture? What the question means. Did you ever make another person feel terrible pain? Killing, or trying to kill, someone? What the question means. Did you ever kill, or try to kill someone? Badly hurting, or trying to hurt, a person on purpose? What the question means. Did you ever hurt someone very much because you wanted to? Forcing, or trying to force, someone to have any kind of sexual contact or relations. What the question means. Did you ever force someone to have sex? Not letting someone practice his or her religion? What the question means. Did you ever stop someone from practicing their religion? Were you ever a member of, or did you ever serve in, help, or otherwise participate in, any of the following groups? Military unit? What the question means. Did you ever work for the military in any country? Paramilitary unit. What the question means. Did you ever use weapons and act like the military, but you were not in the military? Police unit? What the question means. Were you a police officer in any country? Self-defense unit? What the question means. Did you and your neighbors ever come together to protect your community from crime or violence? Vigilante unit? What the question means. Did you ever act like the police, but you were not the police? Rebel group? What the question means. Did you and other people ever illegally fight against the government? Guerrilla group. What the question means. Did you and other people ever illegally fight against the government? Militia. What the question means. Were you ever a member of a group of people who illegally fought with weapons? Insurgent organization. What the question means. Did you and other people ever illegally fight against the government? Were you ever a worker, volunteer, or soldier, or did you otherwise ever serve in any of the following? Prison or jail? What the question means. Were you ever a soldier, worker or helper in a prison or jail? You may be asked, what is a jail? A place for people who are arrested for a crime. What is a prison? A place for people who are convicted of a crime. Prison camp? What the question means. Were you ever a soldier, worker, or helper in a prison for enemy soldiers? Detention facility. What the question means. Were you ever a soldier, worker, or helper in a place where people were not free to leave? Labor camp. What the question means. Were you ever a soldier, worker, or helper in a place where people were forced to work? Any other place where people are forced to stay? What the question means. Were you ever a soldier, worker, or helper in any place where people were not free to leave? Were you ever a part of any group, or did you ever help any group, unit, or organization that used a weapon against any person, or threatened to do so? What the question means. Were you ever a member of a group of people with weapons, and did these people use weapons to hurt other people or threaten other people? You may be asked, what is to threaten? To tell a person you will hurt them if they don't do what you want. When you were part of this group, or when you helped this group, did you ever use a weapon against another person? What the question means. Did you hurt someone with a weapon at that time? Did you ever tell another person that you would use a weapon against that person? What the question means. Did you tell another person you would hurt them with a weapon? Did you ever sell, give, or provide weapons to any person, or help another person sell, give, or provide weapons to any person? What the question means. Did you ever sell, give, or help someone get weapons? Did you know that this person was going to use the weapons against another person? What the question means. Did you know this person would hurt someone with the weapons? Did you ever receive any type of military, paramilitary, a group of people who act like a military group, but are not part of the official military, or weapons training? What the question means. Did people ever train you to be a soldier, to do the same thing as a soldier, or to use weapons? You may be asked, what does it mean to receive training? To learn how to do something. What does it mean to act like the military? To do the same things as the military. What are weapons? Guns, bombs, knives, tanks, and other things that kill or destroy. What does it mean to receive military training? To learn how to be a soldier. Did you ever recruit, ask, enlist, sign up, conscript, require, or use any person under 15 years of age to serve in or help an armed force or group? What the question means. Did you ever ask or force a child to join a group of people with weapons? Did you ever use any person under 15 years of age to do anything that helped or supported people in combat? What the question means. Did you ever use a child to help people who were fighting? You may be asked, what is combat? Fighting with weapons. Have you ever committed, assisted in committing, or attempted to commit a crime or offense for which you were not arrested? What the question means. Did you ever break the law, help someone break the law, or try to break the law but you were not arrested? Have you ever been arrested, cited, or detained by any law enforcement officer, including immigration official or any official of the U.S. Armed Forces, for any reason? What the question means. Did police ever take you to jail or make you pay a fine? Have you ever been charged with committing, attempting to commit, or assisting in committing any crime or offense? What the question means. Did you ever have to go to court for breaking the law, trying to break the law, or helping someone break the law? Have you ever been convicted of a crime or offense? What the question means. Did a jury ever say you were guilty of a crime? Have you ever been placed in an alternative sentencing or rehabilitative program, for example, diversion, deferred prosecution, withheld adjudication, deferred adjudication? What the question means. Did a judge ever tell you to participate in a program to make you a better person? Have you ever received a suspended sentence, been placed on probation, or been paroled? What the question means. Were you ever convicted of a crime and the court supervised you for many months or years? Have you completed the probation or parole? What the question means. Did you finish the probation or parole? You may be asked. What is probation? When you are supervised by a court or officer, instead of spending time in jail. What is parole? When you are allowed to leave prison early, but must regularly report to an officer. Have you ever been in jail or prison? What the question means. Did you go to jail or prison? Have you ever been a habitual drunkard? What the question means. Did you ever drink too much alcohol every day? Have you ever been a prostitute, or procured anyone for prostitution? What the question means. Did you ever have sex for money, pay for sex, or help someone get sex for money? Have you ever sold or smuggled controlled substances, illegal drugs, or narcotics? What the question means. Did you ever sell or transport drugs, for example cocaine or marijuana? Have you ever been married to more than one person at the same time? What the question means. Did you ever have more than one wife or more than one husband at the same time? Have you ever married someone in order to obtain an immigration benefit? What the question means. Did you ever marry someone to get a green card or citizenship? Have you ever helped anyone to enter, or try to enter, the United States illegally? What the question means. Did you ever break the law to help someone come across the border into the U.S.? Have you ever gambled illegally or received income from illegal gambling? What the question means. Did you ever play games for money outside a legal casino or racetrack? Have you ever failed to support your dependents or to pay alimony? What the question means. Did you ever refuse to support or give money to your children or your divorced spouse? Have you ever made any misrepresentation to obtain any public benefit in the United States? What the question means. Did you ever lie to the government to get food stamps or other help? Have you ever given any U.S. government officials any information or documentation that was false, fraudulent, or misleading? What the question means. Did you ever tell a U.S. government official something that was not true? You may be asked, what is false? Not true. What is fraudulent? Not true. What is misleading? Not true. What is a lie? Something that is not true. What is a U.S. government official? Someone who works for the U.S. government. Have you ever lied to any U.S. government officials to gain entry or admission into the United States, or to gain immigration benefits while in the United States? What the question means. Did you ever lie to the U.S. government to come into the U.S. or to get immigration benefits? For example, using a fake name, submitting fake documents, or saying that you were persecuted in your country if you were not. You may be asked, what does it mean to gain? To get. What does it mean to gain entry or admission to the United States? To come into the United States. What does it mean to gain immigration benefits? To get immigration benefits. Have you ever been removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? What the question means. Were you ever forced to leave the United States or stopped from coming into the United States? You may be asked, what does it mean to leave the United States? To go away. What does it mean to be removed from the United States? To be forced to leave the United States. What does it mean to be deported from the United States? To be forced to go back to your country. What does it mean to be excluded from the United States? To be stopped from coming into the United States. Have you ever been ordered removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? What the question means. Did the government ever tell you to leave the U.S., not come to the U.S., or go back to your country? Have you ever been ordered, removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? What the question means. Did the government ever tell you to leave the U.S., not come to the U.S., or go back to your country? Have you ever been placed in removal, exclusion, rescission, or deportation proceedings? What the question means. Did the U.S. government ever begin the process to make you leave the U.S., stop you from coming to the U.S., cancel your legal immigration status, or make you go back to your country? You may be asked, what are removal proceedings? Legal process to make you leave the U.S. What are exclusion proceedings? Legal process to stop you from coming to the U.S. What are rescission proceedings? Legal process to cancel your immigration status, for example, your green card. What are deportation proceedings? Legal process to send you back to your country. Are removal, exclusion, rescission, or deportation proceedings, including administratively closed proceedings, currently pending against you? What the question means. Is the U.S. government now trying to make you leave the U.S., stop you from coming to the U.S., cancel your legal immigration status, or send you back to your country? Have you ever served in the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Did you ever work for the U.S. military? Are you currently a member of the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Do you work for the U.S. military now? Are you scheduled to deploy overseas, including to a vessel, within the next 3 months? What the question means. Is the military sending you outside the U.S. before 3 months from now? Are you currently stationed overseas? What the question means. Are you outside the country now? Have you ever been court-martialed, administratively separated, or disciplined, or have you received an other than honorable discharge, while in the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Were you ever punished or fired from the U.S. military? Have you ever been discharged from training or service in the U.S. Armed Forces, because you were an alien? What the question means. Were you ever fired from the U.S. military, because you were from another country? Have you ever left the United States to avoid being drafted in the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Did you ever go away from the United States, because you didn't want to work for the U.S. military? Have you ever applied for any kind of exemption from military service in the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Did you ever apply to be excused from working for the U.S. military? Have you ever deserted from the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. Did you ever run away from your job in the U.S. military? Are you a male who lived in the United States at any time between your 18th and 26th birthdays? What the question means. Are you a man? Did you live in the U.S. when you were from 18 to 26 years old? Do you support the Constitution and form of government of the United States? What the question means. Do you accept the Constitution and government of the United States? Do you understand the full oath of allegiance to the United States? What the question means. Do you understand the promises you will make in the oath of allegiance? You may be asked. What is an oath? A promise. What is an oath of allegiance? A promise to be loyal. Are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance to the United States? What the question means. Will you say the oath of allegiance? Will you promise to be loyal to the United States? If the law requires it, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? What the question means. If the government needs your help, will you use weapons to fight in the U.S. military? You may be asked. What does it mean to bear arms? To use weapons. What does it mean to be required by law? The government says you must do it. If the law requires it, are you willing to perform non-combatant services in the U.S. Armed Forces? What the question means. If the government needs your help, will you help the U.S. military? You may be asked. What is non-combatant work? Work that isn't fighting. What does it mean to perform non-combatant work? To work for the military, but you don't fight. If the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction? What the question means. If the government needs your help, will you do important work for the United States? You may be asked. What does it mean to be under civilian direction? Directed by the police or government, not by the military.